Jarvan here, the consideration, but considering how mobile this composition is, as well as how well you can re-engage after the engage, it's going to be a little bit tricky to play. I think it's strong into Orianna, can be quite powerful into the Nocturne. So we could have either seen just the Sion brick wall here into this Cassante, or they could have opted for something a little bit more aggressive in this top lane, like a Gnar. That would have actually been great for their team fighting, would have been strong in the matchup, but looking like the Sion is the way they want to play this. Also just such a strong front line to help set up these team fights and fight in the neutral here for BLG.
You can see in the lanes, it's BLG getting the majority of the shove here as there is the snare on top of Labrov. He's down to 200, and that's just first blood. It goes over to On, and this has started early for BLG.
Yeah, this is Labrov. We'll watch this again as On plays this very aggressively. Clones gets the heal to move forward, and even with the attempt to escape, that Labrov is still caught by the edge of it. If he avoids it, totally different scenario, but if they ended up giving over 2 kills on a Grub or early Dragon fight, for example. That's what you really don't want. But losing the Rakan early stings, and it does accelerate BLG slightly, but it's not the end of the world, especially because the kill went to On instead of Elk. Still a significant lead here for Elk, but at the end of the day, like you said, some accidents can happen in this early game. You have a lot of wiggle room with how the scaling works here. Just the mid game that you're more concerned about than some of these early snafus.
Yep, I would agree. So not necessarily end of the world, but world is not exactly like a happy place, especially here in the mid lane. As Caps, I mean, Clockwork is just wound up, and there is the flash away here.
And BLG, with all this prio, looking for the Dragon. No denial available, even with Labrov's unsealed, he doesn't have the smite ready.
Well, this is a 3v3. The flash actually out from Beishuan as the double knockup comes through from Labrov.
The positioning of Elk away from the turret makes him a vulnerable target. Speaking of vulnerable targets.
Yeah, On in a lot of trouble here as Labrov looking to try and make his way in. A lot of damage here already by Skirmishing. Just needs another flag and drag. And Elk, remember, does not have the flash, so needs to get back towards that turret, try and keep himself safe. And Hans Sama, he's come down, he's popped the ghost, and that will be the kill. Going over to Hans, the Ignite is now on. And now Bin's in a little bit of trouble as well. Broken Blade. We'll see what he can actually get done. Just dashes away as he sees Beishuan, but there is that kill.
And it's very methodical, and now in a really nice position in this early game.
They really are. Paranoia comes down. That is going to be Beishuan finding Skirmishing here, who just flashes away.
As they're just going to group around. I mean, Caps does have ultimate. If he could find the right angle.
Well, On could be in a little bit of trouble here. As Hansama putting some feathers on the ground, and On now finds himself in the back of the pit. No flash available, and he is not getting out of this. BLG, can they actually get anything off the back end? And the answer is no, as Caps goes down to 50%.
Because if G2 get a Dragon here and buy that extra time, it really puts a big wrench in their gears. Looking for the Cap pick.
Combo, and even with the flash, it is going to be a lot of damage, and a Caps going down. There is the snare connecting onto Skirmishing as well. He does make it out. A lot of value, yeah. The old standing next to him is bad tactic. I've seen this play before, ladies and gentlemen, but now G2 look, no, they don't have quite the answer. As Knight might be going down in response, the flag and drag to try and finish it off as he gets caught on the minions, but I think was dead anyway. On moving on in, and now Beishuan will get knocked up. Not another spell shield in sight there. Still do think that BLG's composition can work. And there is another shockwave. They find their target, and down goes Skirmishing. That is going to mean no smite for this battle around the Herald, but can they still win with those key cooldowns now used up as the rest of G2 now in position? Throwing out a lot of these rocks, and Bin just putting himself in front of Hansama. And now with only one item, like, Bin is just so hard to get through. So that will be the Rift Herald going down, and BLG reasserting control of this game.
Yeah, really careful fight is
Yeah, the train coming on through as Labrov is going to be able to make his way out. The Pop Blossom on absolutely all of them. And that is the Sion getting a kill, but Hansama gets another one as he's now looking to back away. Look at this health bar. The Blade Caller doing so much work. The Blade Caller from BB. And Knight is able to flash away, but still, I think there's the fear of God in them now.
So huge already.
Exactly, and I think if Knight hadn't have moved, like, perfectly away from the... never mind, we got another battle here as the quickness is going to be the answer, and this time the Paranoia Shockwave doesn't kill Caps.
This game is out for the 1v1.
They're actually getting a lot of work done there with the Acathian Rain. Nicely done. Skirmishing making his way over On. Caught out of position. There's the knock-up, and the Nico is dead.
All of the gold for G2 they've picked up has been on the support punishes.
Yeah, now Beishuan actually looking for Skirmishing here, but Labrov is in the area. The fear is going to come on through, but Beishuan, you don't win the 1v1 anyway. So he's just going to go down. I do appreciate the courage.
Knight had TP, but didn't commit it there. And perhaps there's a miscommunication or a disconnect there on this one. We are going to see a TP potentially interrupted. Yep. It is interrupted.
Finn was trying to make his way in there. As now Elk is also trying to do the same. But
turn ultimate, but then you get killed by the Orion anyways, or you get followed up on by Elk. So positioning is going to be paramount here for Hansama as we have a bit of a fight here.
Yeah, LeBron looking for a little bit of an angle as there is the wall, and On is just going to press R, does flash out of the way of the seismic shove. Insane on this one, as Beishuan just going to get pushed back here by the Cassante. Spell shield's a little bit early, and Broken Blade knows it, does have the ulti back off cooldown once again.
This is risky for G2 though.
I mean, I feel like they're just kind of saying thanks for the leash at the moment, because right now the map is looking pretty dark. They do manage to get this ward in. They might be able to just take that one down. 3,000 health on the Dragon. There's the Paranoia. The rest of G2 are pushed together, but that is a beautiful stopwatch there as the fear does come down, but Caps still at full health. Gets the seismic shove. Lebrov in a bunch of trouble. The Pop Blossom going to be coming on through, but it's only on to one. It is Knight grabbing a kill, but Beishuan also going to go down. There's a second as the double comes in, but like you say, Hansama still at full health, and there is the Feather recall. A terrifying Feather Storm as well as he uses it aggressively, but these health bars are so ridiculously low. Knight finally to go down here as Skewmon, the absolute hero, to try and make sure that someone dies. The Acathian Ray, my god, Caps almost just dies.
Two are on what their win cons are in this situation.
Well, there's another Shockwave combo, but it's under a Rakan. And I've heard that Rakan has decent mobility.
Like, okay, clear your vision. I'm going to start this up. I have way more control. Caps can just zone them out. He can just lock them out here completely.
Well, there's no Paranoia, and Beishuan doesn't have flash, so it's so hard for him to get here. They can just burn this one down. Oh my god, stolen by Knight! And G2, they were so close. They thought they had him in checkmate, but it's the Orianna that steals it away. And now they can just walk their way out if they'd like to. Bin just standing in front of the G2 members.
LeBron's looking for something here, but I think he needs to be respectful. Hansama.
Well, Hansama really didn't want to press his R button, as there he goes. Paranoia comes in, but the Shockwave connects. Hansama down so incredibly low, and Elk is there with that killer instinct to try and take him down. He has to use the flash, though, and now finds himself in a very uncomfortable position, as it's a slight overextension here. Moves back into the waiting arms of Caps, who's over that wall.
He has a ward.
Absolute insanity, as Beishuan does have his smite up and available.
They're just going to pull it out of the pit, though. I don't know if he can look for it. He's trying.
Yep, looking for the opportunity, but it's Knight once again. Man, Knight's smites have been so good.
Yeah, he's
still going to be able to lock that one down.
Let's watch this again here, how low it goes. It was a bit of a crazy one.
All right, the Feather pull
220. Yeah, a bit early on that one. Skewmon not happy. But I mean, it's a great play there from Knight. And the G2 coaching staff frustrated, but what happens next is even worse as they're able to catch these.
Who does manage to get past that pesky
very punishable now.
Yep, there's the train coming in, looking for Caps, finding the angle there. Doesn't get the CC though, does do the damage. But the Talia will be okay. Seismic Shove throws back this Scion, who is going to flash away. The Shockwave finds the back line, but the redemption is so good. Now On looking for the angle, but he doesn't quite get it. He just goes down. The front line is now dead, and Hansama, he's not actually involved in the battle. The GA I was talking about before is going to be utilized, but then Skewmon just explodes, and BLG, they have to sacrifice their support.
Wild.
That's an absurd amount of extra damage now complete. This is sort of maximum damage. He just needs 25 stacks on a Magi's, and then he's going to be feeling brilliant. As now Skewmon will find On. No snare to come through there as the Paranoia will come down.
I like the track on Skewmon here by On, making sure he can't look for his own boy.
Yeah, Hansama actually has to use the Feather Storm, so now not going to be able to defend this turret whatsoever. The Demolish proc almost just one-shotting that one as On goes on. Doesn't quite find as many as he wants, though, and the redemption is going to keep them relatively healthy. Broken Blade, though, trying to be a front line as the root is going to come through onto a clone. And BLG, they're going to take 2 inhibitors in the blink of an eye.
Back up here. They could look for the end.
Yep, let's see whether they find an angle here, as the shockwave could be so pivotal. Bin could tank these turrets for about 15 years. There's it, there it is. He finds the backline as Beishuan gets on in there. Elk with the killer instinct, and that is all of G2 lying on the floor in the blink of an eye. The wall not going to do anything good for G2 here, and they're going to have to say goodbye to their first Nexus in this best of 3.